Travel with me all the way to Hanoi, Vietnam. In his hand was his standing orders and the Constitution. He urged upon me to always read the standing orders and encouraged me to aspire for the leadership of the House. I am happy to say that in my days as his deputy, although he is not a lawyer, he was well versed with the standing orders and the Constitution. Before I could say a word, he knows where a particular provision is. And we worked together, gave me the opportunities to shine, and eventually made way for me to succeed. Honorable Osei Che Mensah Bonsu, I thank you most sincerely. You defined my leadership. You played a key role. We may have our differences, but I want to say that you have made it possible for me to stand on my feet today, especially as I enter opposition and to lead outside in minority. It is that which I learned from you that I will depend on to make a headway in my leadership. Mr. Speaker, there were great elderly senior members on my side, such as Honorable Kennedy Japan, Honorable K.T. Amon, who were also with me in moments of difficulty. I should thank also, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues in leadership, Honorable Anodompre, the Chief Whip, a workaholic being, Mr. Speaker. There were a number of times he had to sleep in Parliament to organize and make things work for me to take over as a leader. He and his deputies worked tirelessly in assisting me to manage a very difficult House. Honorable Dompre, Honorable Habib Idrisu, Honorable Alexander Tete, I say God bless you. I'm thankful to you for all you did. And my able deputy, she was more than a mother to me, to calm me in difficult moments. Her wise counsel has made it possible for me to lead the House till this day. We are both Catholics. She never ceased to remind me of the power of our rosary as Catholics. The morning prayers, the morning encouragements, calling me Kwamena, let's pray. Madam Patricia Apieje, God bless you for all you did. And to my colleagues opposite, you made the best come out of me. I was always watching the videos of Honorable Eric Opoku. This is a man who can punch extremely hard with facts. You dare not challenge him, and I dared not challenge him, because he will take you to another level. Honorable Kwame Abuja, we were there together in opposition. Those days, we struck a good accord. We had our own esprit de corps. And when you assumed leadership, I thought I could explore that for a good way forward. You often disappointed me, but you got the best out of me. Kwame, thank you. And Ahmed Ibrahim, the deputy whip, he did all the dirty jobs. We disagreed, and I will call Ahmed and say, Ahmed, I thought you were a Pentecost elder. Why are you doing this to me? And he says that, Mensro, anyhow. But the next moment, he will hit me hard. But Mr. Speaker, I also got somebody amongst them to pound small. I also took advantage of his emotions, and I provoked him lightly so that I also settle scores. My senior brother, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofibua. Mr. Speaker, I recall at one point you had to settle the matter where I would constantly parading and flagging my standing orders. And he felt it. At the end of the day, that was the beauty of democracy. And I told my brother, no more Ato. Mr. Speaker, Ato will talk to you nicely. Have a good conversation. By 5 o'clock, he will call you and tell you, Kwamena, no deal. The political committee says we can't support you. Mr. Speaker, many did not understand why I was combative on a number of occasions. There were those who didn't know how the heat was on me and were saying that you are majority leader, reach out. Mr. Speaker, the minority were such a tough, stubborn, difficult side. Mr. Speaker, you could never have an agreement with them because they were smelling power. And I understand, rightly so. The number of government business I would have loved to complete for political expediency and perhaps for purposes of principle, I did not get the support from my respected colleague. Many were the disappointment, Mr. Speaker. I'm sad that as a House, we could not deal with the following. One, the 1D1F. Mr. Speaker, I'm still of the conviction that this was a government policy to help the private sector. Mr. Speaker, being from the private sector fraternity, there was no way I viewed the initiative as a giveaway, as a freebie, especially so when the majority side had compromised and agreed to take away the raw materials component of the support to the private sector. But again, our colleagues could not support, not even to allow us to take some of the companies out and proceed to approve them. Mr. Speaker, the nomination of justices for the Supreme Court, which as a House, we vetted them but could not pass them, is also one disappointment to me as a leader. These are citizens of our country who, for no fault of theirs, have earned that call to serve at the highest court of the land. Mr. Speaker, I will not belabor their CV, but we know that these were citizens of substance who could have contributed their quota in enriching the jurisprudence of our country at the highest level. But again, we could not reach an agreement. And to date, I had to look in my direction. Look in my direction. I'm addressing some of your mischief. Mr. Speaker, again, we could not have a deal, and we've left it hanging. It has become odious. Mr. Speaker, I wish, as a House, we could have handled the World Bank $250 million facility to support the financial sector. This was also a facility that had gone through the committee process, and the House could have carried it for government to cushion the financial sector. But again, for good reasons known to my friends opposite me, we could not have a deal. But Mr. Speaker, the Frenchman will say, c'est la vie. This is life. We cannot push anymore, but to look forward to a new day, to also hold the new government feet to the fire. Get them to be accountable, get them to do what is right, and not get personal, but rather enrich governance of our country. Mr. Speaker, this government has achieved so much for the people of Ghana, but not a perfect government. Mr. Speaker, if our friends will today talk about corruption, I want to remind them that the call of corruption was on them when they previously ruled this country for 8 years. Many children whose parents could not afford secondary education had the opportunity of enjoying free SHS. Mr. Speaker, today, Ghanaians, 5.7 million of them, have benefited from free SHS. Mr. Speaker,
another state of the economy.
Not only did we have 5.7 million Ghanaian children benefiting from free SHS, we also had government introducing free TVET. Technical education was made free, and government built 34 new schools and introduced the STEM program for our children. Mr. Speaker, this government is on record to have boldly initiated the ambitious Agenda 111. These projects are at various stages of completion, and we expect that from tomorrow, the new government will take immediate steps to ensure continuous funding of these projects so that our people will get better health care. Mr. Speaker, the government, in terms of roads, added not less than 14,000 kilometers to our existing road infrastructure. And, Mr. Speaker, we expect that this new government, which takes office tomorrow, would be minded of these high achievements and even do better. Mr. Speaker, we have been told that in the area of energy, there were some corruption in certain areas. But, Mr. Speaker, I beg to say that we kept the lights on, and this government ensured that electricity for households and industry was on, minimal challenges in terms of light off, as compared to what our friends left for us in 2017. Mr. Speaker, in the just ended election, the President, the Vice President ensured that they put together a team.
You are out of order.
To assist the Electoral Commission in ensuring that we had a peaceful election. Mr. Speaker, whilst I am on my feet, Honorable Nielande van der Poel will put on his mic. Mr. Speaker, he has to stop. This aspect of their intolerance, Atu spoke, even getting personal, but they can never take it. Mr. Speaker, I don't understand. Atu spoke, he even went personal. We kept quiet and listened to him. You are on your feet, on in your mic. Well, this is your nature. Mr. Speaker, we had a very peaceful election. Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, the presidential candidate of the MPP, conceded defeat long before the official declaration by the EC. But what did we witness? Violence upon violence orchestrated by the leadership of the NDC, who sent thugs to collation centers, attacking Electoral Commission officials, attacking candidates, unleashing violence, and threatening our democracy. For all these conducts, we subject the NDC to posterity. I say to them that the very people they are using to unleash violence on Ghanaian people will soon come back to them. I leave them to posterity. Never again should we witness such an attack on our democracy, where at collation centers, organized thugs are moved in pickups to disrupt the collation process. Mr. Speaker, whereas the MPP accepted the results and even relied on due process of law to get justice, the NDC decided to unleash violence on the Ghanaian people. Mr. Speaker, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, has made his name in Ghana and in the sub-region. It is therefore not surprising that the ECOWAS recognized him and gave him a title, Mr. Democrat. Mr. Democrat for the good works he's done for democracy. For over 40 years in public service, he distinguished himself, and the sub-region celebrated him. Mr. Speaker, the 8th Parliament, however, witnessed some unfortunate, sad situations. The loss of our colleagues, Honorable Philip Baswa of Kumewu, Honorable John Ampontua Kuma of Ejiso, as well as some 18 former members of Parliament and a former First Lady, Her Excellency Teresa Kufuor. Mr. Speaker, all these persons who were in public service passed on within the period, and I say, may their souls rest in peace. Mr. Speaker, in spite of the turbulence that the House witnessed in some few instances, my honorable colleagues in leadership and I worked so hard in ensuring that the business was conducted in a convivial and congenial atmosphere. This Parliament achieved notable legislative milestones, passing 41 bills, including Private Members' Bill, a first in our history. We facilitated the passage of 48 regulations and approved significant agreements and reports bolstering Ghana's socio-economic development. Furthermore, the 8th Parliament approved the nomination of His Lordship Justice Eni Yeboah for appointment to the high office of Chief Justice of the Republic, and after his retirement, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki-Tokonu took over. Mr. Speaker, the House, in all, vetted and approved 9 justices of the Supreme Court and 2 Chief Justices during a tenure. Mr. Speaker, under your leadership, you initiated the Visitors Program and the Citizens Bureau, and this strengthened public engagement and participatory democracy. Parliament also celebrated the 30th anniversary of parliamentary democracy and hosted international conferences such as the 66th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference and ECOWAS parliamentary sessions, which took place in my constituency, Efutu. These events reinforced Ghana's commitment to democratic principles and regional cooperation. This is an outstanding achievement in the quest to enhance our democratic governance. Mr. Speaker,